everybody, welcome. Who wants to talk about some old forgotten makeup? That's what we're gonna do today. I did a part one of this where I showed some throwback makeup, just went through this drawer that I keep of some old stuff that I don't want to forget about. And I said, you know, there's probably more where this came from, and I also have a gallon-sized Ziploc that contains a bunch of forgotten little eyeshadow palettes. And many of you guys said, bring it on. We want more. Give us more. So here's a part two of some throwback makeup. We're gonna walk down memory lane together and reminisce over some old classic makeup stuff. Where do I start? I've got a lot of eyeshadow in this one, but we're gonna start here. NYC Bronzer and Sunny needs its own intro music. This was a classic, an icon. Where did NYC go? I want the sheer red lipstick back. I want this back. They were doing so many random little things here and there. I mean, when we say hit and miss brands, NYC was one of those hit and miss brands. Some things would work, some things definitely wouldn't, but this thing really works. So it's the matte bronzer in Sunny. I don't know what number this was for me, but I know I went through multiple. Just a classic bronzer. Like, there wasn't really anything fancy, wildly different about it. It was just the bronzer we all needed, and it was super cheap. Speaking of hitting pan in a major way, remember the NYX Stay Matte Not Flat powder foundation? This stuff was so good. Medium beige was my shade, and I mean, I use this stuff so much. This was one of the first powder foundations that was really doing a nice soft texture, and then there was the most gentle sheen to it. So it looked really, really pretty on the surface of your skin, but it was also giving, you know, coverage like that. I would use this and like top off a look. I wouldn't necessarily rely on this to do the work on its own, but I would layer it on for the perfect bit of like added coverage, little bit of glow, but nothing intensely luminous. It was perfect. It was really great. Trying to think what exists right now that's a lot like that. I don't even think I have an answer for that right now. What else did I throw in here? Oh, I saved a couple of these. Remember the Maybelline Color Whispers? Let's bring it in. These were like Maybelline's answer to the Revlon lip butters, and they were a little less juicy on the lips compared to the lip butters, but they still had a lightness to them that made you feel like you were using something a little different from a standard lipstick. And I kept the shade Lust for Blush here. Remember that shape and size? They were just real easy to throw on. This was like a beautiful, soft, kind of nudie pink. I loved that shade. Yes? How may I help you today? Where are you going today?
Daddy's office.
She's going to work. Her and Nikki both. Yes, everyone knows you have a very loved bunny. I said those girls need to be set down at a conference table and given some real things to work out.
No, Biscuit.
Biscuit wants love, as always. I also saved the one called Berry Ready. That was a much loved shade for me, but they were just smooth. And don't you remember them like a little less juicy than a lip butter? But
No.
I'm talking to my beauty family, Biddy. Anyway, I loved those. I feel like it's a perfect time for Maybelline to maybe bring those back, isn't it? Can I clip my hair back? Would anybody care? I just want it out of my face. This is the me that shows up immediately after the videos. I gotta get that hair out. Oh, a couple other things, some eyeliners that I pulled in. I remember being all about these Mally Evercolor automatic waterproof liners, the twist up liners. This is the one in Onyx. Oh gosh, it won't twist up anymore. I used it right to the end. This is one of those like, yep, it's an empty, but I don't want to throw it away. These lasted so well. I should check and see if Mally's still making those. I also loved her volumizing mascara in the white tube with the pink print on it. These were some of the first like easy to use liners that I ever put on. They had a good glide to them, a good ease, and I feel like a lot of liners in this time had so much drag. So I loved these, and I remembered getting like a vault of them from QVC, like all the different colors. She made a great color range too. I also found this Jordana. Whatever happened to Jordana? I never even opened this one up, but I know I used this color. Since I have an unopened one, does that mean I already used up an entire tantalizing teal Jordana Easy Liner? This is the Easy Liner for eyes. They also have the Easy Liner for lips. Where you'd find this was at Walgreens. Walgreens had that special makeup counter looking area, and then there were some little like just holes holding these different liners from Jordana. And yeah, the lip liners were great, but they had some fun eyeliners too. All right, let's get into some eyeshadow. This is a trio I know I used back in college, possibly before. It is a Makeup Fossil. This from CoverGirl. Look at the pan hit on that middle shade. I know I'm just bragging, but look at that. That is the color called Golden Sunset. And then they actually sold that middle shade, which is called Golden Sunrise. They sold that as a single too, which I ended up purchasing and I think also hitting pan on. I love that bronzy gold. Can you see what kind of color that was? There's a brown. I hit a smidgen of pan on that light buttery color, but this bronze, I just apparently used it day in and day out. Here's something I did not hit pan on, but I loved it so much and I talked about it to no end. The Quad in Drama Eyes. This would be early channel stuff. I may not have hit pan here, but there's a big divot in that black shade. I mean, these were very strongly pigmented eyeshadows from CoverGirl. They were doing an excellent job. I loved burgundy. This is probably where I kind of fell in love with a wine-colored eye look, but then I liked having that black darkness there. It was pigmented. Like, if you were going to hit pan on that, you were using a ton of it. Oh, I found the evolution of Wet n Wild Walking on Eggshells. That's the original. Okay, this is where she began. If you're new to Wet n Wild and you recently got like the 5-pan palette of Walking on Eggshells, this is where we started. Okay, the 3 shades that said brow bone, crease, eyelid. You can hardly see the words still in it, but that was the OG Walking on Eggshells. Then it turned a little more sophisticated, but still a trio. Bumped up the packaging a little bit. They were really pushing out that color icon name. I barely had time to work into that one, which seemed pretty much exactly like the first before they put it out in a quad. You got the Quad M? Yep, got that. Remember this shape? Everything was a fun little, like, we got rhombus shapes in here or something. I don't know. But they threw in a transition shade. They threw in a matte. And they're like, there you go. There's a matte in with these other 3. But this product still had not reached its peak. Let me show you the present day Walking on Eggshells. Thank you, God, that I have a platform where I can talk about something so niche to a few people out there who care about it too. Current Walking on Eggshells, the best version they've made. I love that they haven't changed the name. Like, look at this. Here's what they've done. They've given us this matte, you know, that they kind of introduced here, but they made it a bit more intense, and then we have a darker brown, and that really seals the deal. This 5-pan, they don't need to change a thing here with this, but we still have the shimmers, 1, 2, 3, that draw back to the original here. Isn't that great? Well, eyeshadow history. Are any colleges needing a professor of eyeshadow, drugstore eyeshadow history? Also held on to this one from Wet n Wild. Comfort Zone. I mentioned this in the last video. Oh, the pigment in these shades. There was shimmer in everything, but yet we made that create an entire look with no problem. That olive green side, oh my gosh, you can just tell by looking how soft these are, can't you? That dark brown right down there, woo! Only get a little bit, but this was, you know, a just under $5 product at the drugstore. Really high quality eyeshadow. A few things I found from Maybelline here. Remember the Eye Studio quads? To this day, I'm still comparing certain textures that I try to the Eye Studio quads. Now, texture was good, but looking back at the color combos, those were really fun. This is Coral Oasis. Look at that. We've got like a light greenish yellow here. We've got coral. The way these feel so thin and light, yet fully pigmented in their thinness. Certain shadows that come out even to this day will feel this way, and this will be exactly where my mind goes. But I love that Coral Oasis, and then also this one, Mad for Mauve. Sorry, I'm dropping stuff. Remember Mad for Mauve? It's just a quad, but yeah, they're giving you that deep berry. They're giving you olive green, this beautiful soft mauve color there. Ugh. And then the lightness, like, they were so much fun. And these were back in the times where you'd go into Walgreens and there would be like a limited edition seasonal collection of Maybelline, and there would be a fall release and they'd have like a couple more of these, and maybe, you know, a color sensational lipstick or 2 that would come out and a couple eyeliners. But I loved those fun collections, and I feel like online we were always talking about the new stuff that would be found in those drugstore limited edition collections. But the last thing I want to mention here, this will really take some of you back. Remember the Maybelline eyeshadows packaged like this? Now I think they're still selling some quads that are like the natural smokes, like the expert wear stuff. I think some of that's still out there, but what you're not going to find anymore are these 8-pan palettes. This one was called Sun-Baked Neutrals. They're going to give you 2 sponge dips in there because of all the shades. And look at those earthy shades. I mean, look at that awesome range. You're getting olives, getting dark brown, bronze. This is well balanced. If I came across this in the store currently, I would definitely be attracted to this product. But yeah, I was excited that I thought to hold on to that because that does really, I don't know, just that packaging style really takes me back. But that is the walk down memory lane that I have for you today. Things that I felt it was important to keep because I just didn't want to forget about these products. And it does like make you think when you see stuff like this, you see that quality or you see that shade selection that came out, it can make you look at some things coming out now and be like, maybe it was a little bit better then. Maybe we haven't constantly kept getting better in the drugstore. Like, drugstore was really good back then. I know in a lot of ways there have been mega improvements, but drugstore eyeshadow, it's been good for a little while now. This stuff is the proof, you know? I saved out everything that I put on my face today so I can let you know what's going on there. My foundation today, it's a little bit glowy. I'm using the Super Serum from Relove by Revolution. That's something you can find for less than $5 at Walmart. Shade is F4. It's a teeny bit light on me, but we kind of worked in some bronzer today to account for that. I use this Revlon FlexWear Full Cover Concealer. I love this concealer. Shade is Vanilla. Incredible coverage. Looks really fresh all day, even up on the under eye area. Set that with the L'Oreal Infallible Blurfection in the pink light shade, and then also set all over my skin with a little Maybelline Superstay Hybrid Powder Foundation, shade 128. I did some contouring again with this little skinny Morphe stick. I kind of am loving this Shape Lifter Micro Contour Stick. Shade is called Enhanced. I also worked in a little bit of the next shade deeper called Refined, but I still think Enhanced is maybe the best. It gives kind of a shadowy look, but you just realize maybe you didn't need to be swiping on a thick contour stick. Like maybe a smaller stick is fine. Blends in really easily. Topped off with a little more bronzer just because I needed to bump the skin tone down a little bit. This is the City Bronzer from Maybelline in the shade 300. Oh, there's a kitten back there. Hi, Bisky. We did a little blush layering. This is my ABH blush stick in the shade Latte, and it's very nudie, neutral, really pretty. This was recommended by one of you guys. And then I layered up on top the Rare Beauty powder blush. This is one of those really shimmery ones called Happy. So that's giving me some glow on top of my cheeks. I also busted into this oldie but a goodie from Dior Backstage Glow Face Palette. Basically used these lightest 2 shades for a little bit of highlight. On the eyes, I primed with Wet n Wild Mega Last Eye Primer, and then I pulled out my Patrick Ta Major Dimension 3 for an all matte eyeshadow moment. I was working a lot in the upper line of this shadow, so a little bit warmer. Beautiful textures. I always enjoy pulling out a Patrick Ta eye palette. Lined my upper lash line with a little bit of L'Oreal Lace Shadow Stick in Brown Abyss. Lined on the lower lash line with some Hard Candy Cold Brew, which is going to be a little bit lighter than Brown Abyss, and it's just the perfect smudgy lower lash line there. I've got e.l.f. Lash Extender on the lower lash line, and on the upper I've got the Pure False Lash Beyond Black Mascara from Catrice, and that's a really good one too. I wish it would hold my curl a little bit better because what it's doing on the lashes is actually quite a bit. If it could hold my curl more, it would show it off better. Oh, and the brows is again the new Morphe stuff that I talked about in the last video, the Nano Pencil that is actually coming in a little bit less than CoverGirl's in the shade Java, and then their brow gel. And then on my lips, it's Revlon Color Stay Lip Liner in Wine. On top of the liner, I've got Candied Rose lipstick. So going for a real pinky look, and then a little gloss on top. I decided let's just 3-step it today. So this is the e.l.f. Glow Reviver Melting Lip Balm in the shade Yummy Gummy. So that's giving me the shine, and it made it look even more berry by the time I put this on. And that is the look. Oh, I use this too, the Dewy Power Grip Setting Spray. So guys, thank you so much for your time today. I hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching, and I will see you again very soon. I love you. Bye.